Hey y'all, welcome to 2023, the Black Health Summit. My name is Grace, and I'm going to be your speaker today. And I'm super excited to speak to you about this very topic of spirituality meets wellness. I'm sure you've heard the saying, our health is our wealth, but I'm here to let you know it is not a cliche. How we take care of ourselves determines how we show up in the world, how we show up in our businesses, how we show up in our workplace, even in our family life, in our relationships. So it's important that we have this honest conversation that's significant to our wellness. Before we get started, before we even get into it, let me go ahead and properly introduce myself, and share some fun facts about myself to you so you'll know who you're listening to. Like I said before, my name is Grace. I am a board certified psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. I do work in private practice where I diagnose and treat individuals with mental health illnesses and substance use disorders. I'm also the CEO and founder of SmileBiz LLC. It's a personal development company where I teach high performing women how to live a balanced lifestyle so they can be able to reach their goals. I'm also a professional speaker, a life strategist, a 2 times published author, and a minister. And the best role of all, the role that I love the most, is I am a mom of one. My son is named Eden, and he is 15 years old. And enough about me. I know you did not just come to hear me talk about myself. If you want to learn more about me, you can actually look in the guide that I created for you. This guide that I created for you is actually going to help you as I am discussing about this important topic. You can actually have opportunity to take down some notes. Also in the guide, there is practice, practice, practice. Yes, I am that one. I am that person that loves to give homework. It's a teacher in me. I can't help myself. But I also believe that information without application leads to no transformation. So it's important that not only do you take down these notes, but you implement what I am speaking about today, because it's going to help you be able to show up as a better version of yourself. So let's get into it. The road to the better you through the spiritual lens. What it's going to do is going to bring a level of understanding of how a solid foundation of a spiritual health can promote positive outcomes in your mental health and wellness. Also, it's going to highlight a solution-based framework to help you be able to achieve a better version of yourself through the holistic approach of utilizing a faith-based system. So what will you learn in this session? Well, first of all, you're going to learn what spiritual health is. We're going to put some definitions to this. What is the role of spirituality in the context of mental health and wellness? How does our belief system shapes our intra-personal relationship with ourselves and how we take care of ourselves? What are the challenges that come against our belief system that can impact our health? What is the solution-based framework to help us achieve a better version of ourselves? All right. So why is this conversation of integrating spirituality and wellness even important? You're like, Grace, why are we talking about this? Why is it even important? Well, according to the American Psychological Association, approximately 80% of people have some form of spiritual belief. According to APA, that's a lot of people. Approximately 80% of people have some form of spiritual belief. An individual's belief system and wellness are not mutually exclusive. I don't care what the medical world said, okay? I don't care what modern medicine say. Our belief system and wellness are not mutually exclusive, all right? They do go hand in hand. So, it's dangerous not to have this open and transparent conversation, because what it does, it truly robs a person the opportunity to be a better version of themselves. And, I don't know if you guys ever had this observation, maybe it's just me, but I've had observation throughout the years that the pendulum has swung to one extreme in both directions, where people aren't seeking professional help. They're not seeking professional help regarding their mental health. They're not seeking professional help regarding their physical health. So what do we hear often? Just pray it through. Sir, ma'am, just pray it through. Your faith is not strong enough. Just pray it through. Just pray it through, instead of seeking professional help, right? Or swinging on the whole opposite extreme where it's just solely using a scientific model, using a medical model that can hinder an individual from having understanding of self and their purpose in life. So this is why we have to have these conversations. We have to have that conversation for integrating spirituality and wellness because they're both important, but we have to have this conversation because we are not one dimensional. As human beings, we are not one dimensional. There's different facets to us. There's different parts to us, and our spirituality is very important. And we don't have these conversations. It's going to continue swinging from one extreme to another, where we're not seeking professional help, where we're just dependent on prayer or any other religious form instead of and not seeking professional help as well. Or also we're just so focused on modern medicine that is hindering us from understanding ourselves and our purpose in life. So what is spiritual health? You're like, okay, Grace, what does this even mean? I need some definitions. What does spiritual health even means? By definition, it pertains to anything that relates to the health and wellness of a person's spirit. I'm going to say it again. By definition, it pertains to anything that relates to the health and wellness of a person's spirit. Spirituality is a concept based on an individual's ability to connect to something larger than themselves, right? It is not governed by religious organization nor bound to religiosity. But the foundation is based on a relationship between the individual and the higher power. As a believer, this is for me as a believer whose belief system is based on Christianity. My understanding is mankind was created as a spiritual being. We were created as a spiritual being. Although in creation, man was formed from the dust of the ground, he was still created in the image and likeness of God. And this can be found stated in Genesis chapter 1. Understand the spirit is outside of the flesh, it's outside the physical body. And the soul, which houses our mind, our emotions, and will, right? So the spirit is outside the physical body, is outside, is outside of the flesh. And the soul, it houses our mind, emotions, and will. So spiritual health, it gives us more insight in our life's purpose in connections with ourselves and others. So that's what spiritual health is. It gives us more insight in our life's purpose and connections with ourselves and others. It has nothing to do with a religious organization. It has nothing to do with religiosity. It's about the relationship. Okay? What role does spirituality play in the context of mental health and wellness? So, Grace, what does this even mean? How does it play? What context does it play in my mental health and my wellness? Well, first of all, we have to understand that spirituality is tied to our identity and our purpose. It's part of our self-motivation. Okay? God gives us identity and purpose. And I like to use the example of Adam. Adam's identity and purpose. Okay? By God giving him responsibility to take care of the Garden of Eden and positioning him to also name all the animals in the garden. That was part of his identity and his purpose, right? God gave him identity and gave him purpose by giving him responsibility in positioning him for his assignment. So when an individual understands who they are and their purpose in life, what it does, it fuels you to not want to live just to exist, but have more understanding. There's a responsibility to want to steward over your mind and your body well. So when you understand your identity, when you understand your purpose, then you will have a desire to want to steward over your mind and body well. All right. So this does not negate the different variables like biological factors, neurochemical imbalances, or maybe any psychosocial stressors that can make it challenging for an individual to have a positive mental and physical wellness. No. But when you're in a spiritual deficit, what it can do, it can place you in a state of hopelessness and helplessness where there's no drive nor motivation to want to be a better you. Okay? So I'm not negating any of those factors that I stated. Those things are important. Okay, they're important. They do play a factor. But when you have a spiritual deficit, when you don't understand who you are, don't understand your purpose, then this places you in a state of hopelessness and helplessness, where there's no motivation to want to be a better you. Why would you want to strive to be a better you if you don't even understand who you are, your purpose? So the truth is, if you believe that your life has no purpose or no meaning, instead of being an active participant in your life, you're just coexisting with life. Why would you want to strive for better? Why would you want to be a better version of yourself if you're just coexisting with life? So I'm gonna just share a little bit of background of myself. When I had graduated from grad school, y'all, I had my degree. I had my dream house. At the time, I had my dream house. I was studying for my boards. In my mind, I was like, man, I'm about to get this bag. That's what I was thinking about. Man, I'm about to get this bag. On the outside, it looked like I made it, right? It's like, mama, I made it. I looked like the public success. I had all this stuff going for myself. But in private, I felt like a failure. I really felt like a failure. I had a sense of emptiness. I lacked fulfillment. I was dealing with a lot of brokenheartedness. Rejection affected my mental and emotional processes. I was never diagnosed with clinical depression, but I had days that I was running on empty, right? I had no personal relationship with God back then. No relationship with God at all. And what I did was I used outwardly success as a means to make myself significant. So it wasn't until my relationship with God was more solid where the spiritual growth brought me to a place of fulfillment. So I had more understanding of self and purpose through my relationship with God. So I made a vow to myself that I'm not going to live to exist, but to exist to live a life full, which Jesus promised me in John 10:10, right? He promised, he came to give us a life and a life more abundantly. And this includes me taking care of my temple and my mind. So understand that knowing our identity and our purpose that's tied to our spirituality, this is a driving force for us to want to show up better, to strive for better, show up the better version of yourself when you have that understanding. That's what gives us fulfillment. How does our belief system shape our intrapersonal relationship with ourselves, our relationship with ourselves, our inner relationship with ourselves, and how we take care of ourselves? Well, first of all, it increases your level of self-awareness. Understand your spiritual journey is a journey. It is not a destination. None of us have arrived. But what it does, it gives you opportunity for self-discovery. It gives you an opportunity for transparency and vulnerability with yourself. When you're able to have honest conversations with yourself, the areas that you're strong in, the areas that you're limited in, this is going to help you with self-discovery. For example, poor time management skills. Okay. For example, let's say that you are limited in time management. Not being able to find balance in your life can impact your wellness. What that does is can limit your physical activity. It can cause poor sleep hygiene, which can cause you to feel overwhelmed, which causes low productivity and lack of fulfillment. You see how that one area can just be a snowball effect. It's like a roller coaster, right? What they say, a domino effect. That's that one area. So it's important. These things will help increase our self-awareness, the areas that we have strengthened, the areas that we're limited in. Also, will help you assess where you are and where you want to go, right? Your personal professional development can impact your wellness. It would challenge you to deal with your current circumstances. And sometimes our current circumstances can cause us to have more anxiety. It can cause us to even have more depressed thoughts when we feel like we're not where we want to be, right? So it increases your level of self-awareness. Also increases your self-esteem. Your self-esteem, how you see yourself, your relationship with yourself can increase your self-esteem. When you have a healthy relationship with yourself, it helps you be able to see yourself how God sees you. He sees you as fearfully and wonderfully made. He sees you as the apple of his eye. He sees you as his masterpiece. When you're able to create a healthy relationship with yourself, where you're able to see yourself as the man and woman that is becoming, there's no period to you. There is a comma because you're becoming. What it does, it changes your entire outlook and perspective. There's a famous philosopher who said, we see the world not as it is, but as we are, or as we have been conditioned to see it. So everything is from the inside out. When we have a poor relationship with ourselves, we're gonna have a poor outlook on ourselves. Then we start projecting, and our viewpoint is distorted. When then there's a lack of desire, motivation to want to take care of yourself, because you don't see the value and benefit of want to take care of yourself if you don't have even a healthy relationship with yourself. Healthy spiritual foundation is necessary to help you see yourself as worthy, help you see yourself as valued. It's not based on titles, it's not based on degrees, it's not based on any socioeconomic status. So now you'll have a desire to steward over your whole self, your spirit, your physical body, and your mind and your heart. Your mind and your heart. Okay. What are the challenges that can come against our belief system that can impact our health? First of all, as I had spoken earlier before about this pendulum going from back and forth, right, from one extreme to another, there's this perverse view of faith, right? Instead of utilizing spirituality as a guide to live a life full according to how God has planned for you, your faith can be tied to religiosity, where you're now bound and you start condemning yourself for making mistakes, condemning yourself for not being where you want to be. Then you start saying things like, maybe I'm not praying enough. Maybe my faith is not strong enough. And we can hear this from other people that can project these things to us. People who are bound to religiosity, not actually have a relationship with God, where they start questioning your faith. They start questioning that your faith is not strong enough. Maybe you didn't pray it through. Maybe you didn't pray hard enough. Maybe you need to fast more. We will hear these things, right? This is a perverse view of faith. This is a perverse view of faith that can impact our health. So you start having this ruminating thoughts that are based on lies and not healthy. It can negatively impact our physical and mental wellness, where we're constantly living in a state of fear, where we're living in a state of insecurity, where we're developing this perfectionist mindset that leads to poor decision making and unhealthy behaviors. That's what happens when we have a perverse view of faith, where everything is based on works versus a relationship, right? Then these thoughts that we have, they're unhealthy. We're constantly condemning ourselves for mistakes, constantly condemning ourselves like we will never get where we're supposed to be, right? Oh, I should have been there. I should have been in that stage of my life by now. We start having these conversations and living in a state of fear, insecurity. And that's where this perfectionist mindset comes from, where we have this fear of failure. Then we start making these poor decisions and unhealthy behaviors based on that. And then we're not seeking professional help. So there's a lack of access to healthcare. As I said before, where we're just so focused on the works that we're not even using wisdom to seek professional help. Understand that professionals are here to help us through mental health, help us even through physical limitations. Where we're relying solely is just, oh, well, I didn't pray hard enough. I didn't fast long enough. My faith is just not strong enough. This is why I'm going through what I'm going through. It's a lie. It's a whole lie. Then we're bound to that and we're not seeking professional help. We're not accessing the health care that's available to us. Then there's a stigma that surrounds your belief system, right? There's a misunderstanding regarding health and wellness, okay, between you and the healthcare provider. And this can be challenging to create a collaborative plan for your optimal well-being, because a lot of people, there's this stigma that surrounds our belief system where people feel like, okay, the health provider is not listening to me. They're not even acknowledging my belief system. And this is very valid. It's a valid thing. It's very, very real, right? And I could see misunderstanding not just from the spiritual perspective, but also a cultural perspective where there's a lack of awareness, and then there's a lot of mistrust that can come in. You know, there's a lot of mistrust that can come in, not trusting the healthcare provider, not trusting that they have your best interests at heart, because they're not even looking at you through a holistic lens. They're looking at you as one dimensional, looking at you as you're the diagnosis or the symptoms. And this is very valid. I've been in healthcare for what, since 2012. And I've worked in mental health since 2013. And I've seen it. There's nothing I haven't seen. And honestly, so I have seen that dynamic where people feel ignored, and there's a stigma surrounding their belief system, so they feel like their belief system is being ignored, cultural awareness is being ignored. There's just a lack of awareness in all ends, and then it just causes this disconnection or causes friction between the individual and the healthcare provider, that's making it hard to be able to come up with some type of treatment plan to be able to help this person. And as I said before, like, mental health does not discriminate. I see people from all walks of life. All walks of life. I've seen people who practice even other religions, whether it's Islam, Buddhism, people who don't even have a religion, who are atheist, agnostic, even people in the faith community, people who are in ministry. Mental health, substance use disorders does not discriminate. So it's important for us to understand the challenges that can come against our belief system that can impact our health, right? That perverse view of faith, of making it seem like we didn't pray hard enough and this is why we're going through what we're going through. And that's not true, right? It's very unhealthy. And us to develop this perfectionist mindset where we're not being honest and real with ourselves of where we are. And then we're not even seeking professional help. We're maybe embarrassed. As a lot of individuals are, because of the stigma that's wrapped around mental health, and individuals don't want to seek counseling, don't want to seek someone for medication management, or just even another opinion. So, or even a community. So we hold on to these things and feel like we can do it on our own when we cannot. We need community. We need people to be able to help us walk through this. You cannot do this by yourself. But this perverse view of faith will make you feel like no one will understand, right? And it causes a disconnect. Also, there's a lot of misinformation regarding health and wellness based on one's belief system. Let me tell y'all something. The internet is wonderful. I love the internet. I think it's great source of information, but sometimes it's not always a good resource for information. I like to call it Dr. Google. People will like Google, oh, I feel this way, and Google all these stuff. And be like trying to Google all these symptoms and stuff like that. You know, I call it Dr. Google. Sometimes the internet is not a good source for information if you don't know if this information is valid or credible. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, a lot of things. There's so many people that have so many experts out there, so much information out there. It could be information overload, and it can cause people to make really poor decisions regarding their health. So it's important for us to be very discerning of the information that we're taking in, okay? taking in. I have seen, like, literally have observed people talk about people, like I said before, pray it through. Oh, you just need deliverance. I don't even know why I even got into this, but I see that often. You just need deliverance. You just need to pray it through. And it causes people to make really poor decisions regarding their health and not get a full overview where they can be able to make informed decisions for themselves. And I'm not against prayer or deliverance or any other mode of spirituality, from a Christian perspective. I don't have a problem with that. I'm the one that I'm speaking about integrating spirituality into our wellness. But I do have a problem when we look at people from a one-dimensional view and not a holistic view, and understand that we are not monolithic. There is not one size fit all. And we have to be more open-minded about things and be very careful the information that we're taking in, because a lot of times a lot of this information is not valid or credible, and it could cause you to make a lot of detrimental decisions regarding your health. So just be mindful what you're taking in, and always get an expert opinion on it to see what your options are. Okay. So we're going to talk about the solution-based framework. This is where the activity is going to come in and for you to be able to kind of help yourself show up as a better version of yourself. So the first thing is, you're gonna do a quiz that says, how well do you treat yourself? You want to assess how well you treat yourself. There's no right or wrong answers with this. The goal is to help you assess whether you have established standards that will help you stay spiritually, physically, and mentally well. So I just want you to just go through these questions real quick, just to kind of see where you are. Okay, see where you are, see if you're really, how well you're really taking care of yourself. The first question, I'm just, for example, first question I'm going to tell you says, how I get at least 7 hours of sleep nightly. Understand your sleep hygiene is important, how you show up. It's going to determine how you show up. If you're not sleeping well, if you don't have quality sleep, because you technically should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And I know everyone's schedule is different. Some people work daytime, nighttime, rotating shifts. Just create this based on your schedule. But you should be getting at least 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep, because lack of sleep can cause you to make really poor decisions, can cause focusing issues, anxiety, irritability. So it's important that you assess how you sleep. Okay, so go through the different questions. Like I said, it's not any right or wrong answers. It's just to kind of see how well you treat yourself. All right. The next step is make a list of things that drains your energy and slows you down. The goal is for you to have understanding what slows you down can help you manage your spiritual, mental, and physical well-being as well. So pick one of these energy drainers. Is this something you can erase, delay, or reduce? For example, like answering emails. Ideally, you can't erase it because it's a form of communication. Everyone communicates through email. So consider, is this something you need to delay or reduce the time spent answering emails? You want to allocate enough time to do it so you can have more time for yourself and complete the things that are fulfilling regarding your spiritual health, whether it's prayer, worship, or even your mental health and physical health. Okay. The next thing you want to do is living your life full. I want you to jot down the top 5 things that you can do to make sure you're living your life full, right? Living your life full, because it's about fulfillment, right? It's about living your life full, not just living to exist. All right. So, for example, you can write and meditate on scriptures that tells you who God says you are, because it helps you with your identity and your purpose. Maybe journaling. Journaling is an awesome tool to use to be able to show up as the better version of yourself. Taking rest. Rest is important. Even God took a rest on the 7th day, y'all. Okay, taking rest is important. Physical rest is important. Even volunteering, serving, and helping others can really help you not only build your character, but also help you show up as a better version of yourself when you're doing for others. The important thing for the energy drainer exercise, and even for the living your life full exercise, you want to establish a start date. You want to establish an action date because what that does is going to establish commitment and hold yourself accountable. Hold accountability to yourself. So the goal of the living your life full is to help you be intentional and committed to yourself so you can be able to show up as a better version of yourself. So I hope everything that I had shared today has been good for you. I hope it enlightened you. If there's anything that I shared that you already knew, kudos. If there's anything new that I share with you today, then that's great. I just hope that you take everything that I have shared today, put it into implementation so you can be able to get transformation, so you can be able to show up as a better version of yourself, starting with your spiritual foundation. You guys take care. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.